Hey guys, thanks for stopping by my channel today. How the heck are you? Oh my gosh, it's been a while since again I've been in front of the camera. My life is crazy busy. I'm enjoying it, but it's just crazy busy. And so I have a chance this morning to do a car chat. I'm on my way to work. I don't know if you're going to hear the wiper blades, but it's raining, so I must use them. So I apologize for that. The lighting might be pretty crappy today too, but just because it's pretty dark outside this morning, no sun. But you know what? I'm not showing you swatches of anything, so you don't have to look at this hot mess if you choose to just listen to me talk, which honestly, you know how you hate, many people hate like the sound of their own voice. Scientifically, we're actually not meant to be able to hear the sound of our own voice. Like our ear like interprets it differently or something. It's the strangest thing. So it's a very common sort of scenario where you don't like the sound of your own voice. So I'm thinking of you guys like maybe not watching this video, but just listening and just hearing the sound of my voice, and like I cringe because I'm like, oh my gosh, all they have is that voice. Anyway, actually, that kind of brings up an interesting point in my brain. I'm curious when you guys are listening to these car chats or chit chats, what are you doing? Like, if you're not forced to watch the screen, let's say, or I mean, you might be watching as well because we are kind of having a conversation, but if you're not having to be like 100%, like when I'm watching like swatches of video, you know, like you're focused. But I'm curious, what do you do? Like, are you eating breakfast? Are you getting ready? I watch a lot of YouTube. I actually watch YouTube videos every morning when I'm putting my makeup on. It's like my zen moment of the day. But like, what do you do? Are you like cleaning the bathroom or something? You just have me talking to you? I'm so curious. Leave me a comment down below. Kind of set the scene for me. Just kind of let me know what you wind up finding yourself doing when we're chatting. Clearly I'm driving. So, anyway, so the thing I want to talk about today is going to be like the distant relative to politics, but we are absolutely not talking politics. I firmly believe that if you're going to discuss politics with someone that you know and love, then you must be on the same team. You must be in agreement with each other and you just validate each other. If you want, now I don't think that you should only talk to people that, or people who agree with you. So if you're going to discuss politics with someone you don't agree with, make sure they're a stranger. Discuss, you know, they say don't talk politics and religion with other people. I mean, there's definitely some validity to that. So we're not talking politics today, but my conversation this morning was absolutely inspired by some political stuff, and I'm not even going to be specific, but I'll just set the stage. Well, many times when politicians are being considered for a particular position, they're vetted, which means like their entire life goes under scrutiny. And I mean, it's like bigger than like a background check, you know? And it got me thinking, because most especially, let's say with these politicians who are vetted so much further back in their years, you know, they're typically a little bit older now. I mean, and it's true the same for anybody, because it totally got me thinking, like, how far back should you be held accountable for your behaviors? Like, how long should we ask people to carry the burden of something they might have done when they were younger? Or maybe they weren't young at the time, but it was, I don't know, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I mean, and that's part of the question. Like, how far back do you go? Because I was starting to think, I'm like, you know what, even though I think I'm flawless, 100% flawless right now, back in the day, you know, even though I'm you know, a highly intelligent person and you know, all that stuff, I was stupid back then. I remember some of the things that I thought, the impressions of what I thought the world was, who I thought I was in the world, like what my place in the world was. And it will come as a complete shock to you, but there were moments where I was like dumb. And, you know, obviously I've got some years of experience, and not only have I gotten older through actually just the quantity of years, but I've had a variety of experiences now that have given me a significant reality check or have allowed me to see things with a clearer picture. And thank goodness I didn't do something back in the day that, you know, got me in trouble. I mean, I was never, let's be clear, I was never like a rebel or anything of the sort, but I'm just saying, you know, those freak incidences happen to you sometimes, or maybe you just, you know, a long time ago were just kind of a different person. And so, and I'm not even saying you necessarily even had to be charged with a crime or something. You know, meaning it didn't even necessarily have to be an illegal act. But I'm just saying, thank goodness I didn't wind up just seemingly even by accident, maybe based on the people that I hung out with or anything. Thank goodness I don't have anything attached to me that way from back in the day. But what I do know is, like I'm saying, like I'm a different person right now, and I'd like to think I'm smarter. That doesn't mean I don't have things to learn, but I'm just curious how far back we're supposed to hold someone responsible and as having ownership of that behavior or those behaviors or that perspective. There was a thing on YouTube where one of the creators had said some nasty stuff on Twitter years ago, though. And I'm like, now granted, if they still thought that way, that might be an issue. Or maybe they have learned that, you know, to think that way isn't something that should be shared, because it's just that kind of, oh, you know, we all have those deep, dark secrets and those kind of inner beliefs that we have that we just know sometimes should not make it out into the general public. But, you know, it was more than 5 years ago, or whatever the situation was. I don't know it specifically, but whatever the situation was, more than 5 years ago. Should it still be, like, attached to you? Like, at what point can we acknowledge that people change and that people learn? It's just, we should be able, and we should be given the latitude and the grace to be allowed to change and to have learned from our mistakes. I mean, I've even talked about that in car chats before, where I think that reflecting on your prior experiences and your past life and things that happen to you are always an opportunity to learn. And so if we're learning and growing, let's just make that assumption, if we're learning and growing, then should we be allowed to kind of let go, or should we not be held accountable for some of those things that happened in the past? Just speaking from a legal perspective, once you have a record, you have a record. And so then the question is, like, should it matter then what the action was? Should we then start valuing different illegal behaviors? I mean, I know that we do misdemeanors and felonies and stuff, but when you have a record for even the most simple thing, despite the fact, again, that it was illegal, when you have a record, you carry that with you. You take that bad boy with you. And so, is that fair? I don't know. And then at the same time, I think, well, maybe it doesn't matter what we're holding the accountability for. For example, should we start to place judgment and value or question why someone did something or not? So for example, if you were younger, but not an adolescent, you know, older than 18, let's say, but if you were younger and you were just stupid, well, okay, yeah, people can learn from that. You can get better from that. Well, some can anyway. Or is it something that we attribute to the essence of your soul and like your personality and like who you are? Like, if someone does something, let's say when they're 18 and a half years old, and it's kind of like a really mean thing, but maybe it was because they were stupid, can it do we hold them accountable for that? Because we think to ourselves, well, shouldn't you know better? Like, shouldn't you have known it was like a stupid thing to do and that was a mean thing to do? Like, does that speak more to the essence of your personality and like the core of who you are? Or is it just a stupid thing that you did because you just didn't know any better? I'm not sure. And then the question becomes, who makes that decision? Who places the value on whether or not, like how we should interpret someone's bad decision or bad behavior? Because then that's completely subjective. Right now, it's much easier to say you do something illegal, you're going to have a record. I don't even know. Usually I think like job applications and stuff, they ask you, do you have a criminal record? Like they don't ask you, do you have a criminal record for a misdemeanor? Or, well, I guess they do ask you for explanations. There'll be like a little space like to fill that in. But you know what, honestly, I think what they look at first is, do you have a record? I mean, it's just kind of this like, this stamp that says, okay. And I go back to, again, like, what was the motivation for doing what you did? And what were the circumstances? But I guess, is that for the justice system then? Is that what they figure out? I don't know. But that's the whole legality of it. That's like a whole other kind of conversation and kind of area to take it. But at the same time, like, I feel like this now applies like to our regular life. How do you decide who to grant forgiveness to? You know, like, is forgiveness to you, is it something that, because there's a bunch of different reasons, there's a bunch of different interpretations for that. Is forgiveness for you something that you do for yourself? That actually is kind of the general guideline. You're not forgiving someone, or you shouldn't necessarily be forgiving someone else for them. It's not about granting them forgiveness. It's about allowing yourself to let go. So how do you decide how to let go, and how to decide kind of not to take that with you? One of the classic examples that I think of is an extramarital affair. Like, if someone, I think of Sex and the City, honestly. Was it Miranda, the redhead? When Steve, one time, in the actual movie is what I'm referencing, but one time, was only one time, some girl at the bar or something, and she, like, at that moment said, that's it, nope, no more. It was just one time. And many, ultimately, if you didn't see the rest of the movie, ultimately she decided he was too important to her, and they wound up working it out. But many people, for example, would terminate a marriage because they would hold that one example, or that one instance, as enough to break the deal. You know, it would be a deal breaker at that point. And I'm not sure, is that what we should do? Is someone's, you know, entire life contingent to change based on one action? And then also, what if you found out about it later? You know, because then maybe they realized it was such a mistake, they've never done it before. And so that means something too. And so then we go back to being subjective again, where we're examining kind of the entire facts of the situation. It's so complicated. Do you guys like how, like, I present you with questions that I actually don't have the answer to? Like, this isn't a class or like a lesson, like I'm not teaching you anything, because I have no idea myself. So that's what I got for you today. The weather has taken a wicked turn, and my wiper blades are on like rapid fire right now, and I'm concerned that that's impacting our volume. So please do leave me a comment down below on what we were discussing today, and also, like I said, let me know what it is that you do when we chat. I'm just curious. I like people. I like to know about people, what they do, and why they do things. So that's kind of why I'm asking that question, which is why I like working with people and not money, because money doesn't give me that kind of feedback. So anyway, I hope that you guys have been well. I look forward to filming my next video for you. As always, please do leave me some suggestions down below. I think we're due for maybe a favorites, or I've said before, if there's anything you want me to review, I'm happy to do that too. Anyway, thanks again for spending your time with me. I hope you have a good rest of the day, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks.